Welcome to this special outdoor edition of the TUE Brew Review. This week we are checking out Dead Guy Ale. This is a Bock style beer from Rogue Brewery, iconic brewery that's been around for, over 30 years out in the Oregon area. And the reason that we're outside is we are going to taste this beer through the lens of something called beer poking or beer spiking. So this beer tends to be very malt forward. It's got a lot of caramelized sugars in it. And for over 1,000 years over in Germany at the Weinstefan Brewery, during the cold winter months and the early spring when Bock beers tend to come out because it's a beer made for the celebration of the springtime, they would take to the practice of putting red hot pokers into the beer to warm it up and also to caramelize the sugars in the beer. So we're going to actually give that a go. Now this is it's a trend that's actually catching on quite a bit here in the U.S. as well. There's some New England area states, the upper Midwest, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. There's a lot of late winter, early spring Bock fests to celebrate the coming of spring, and they often partake in this beer poking exercise. So let's go ahead and get into this. First of all, this beer comes in a 12-ounce can. If you've ever seen Rogue Dead Guy, that is that's the character that you'll always find on the bottle or the can. 6.8% ABV, 40 IBUs on the 110-point IBU scales. Tends to be a low to moderate amount of bitterness. 16 SRM, which is a reference of the color. My Bocks tend to be a little bit lighter in color than your traditional Bock. Traditional Bock tends to be more of a darker brown. The My Bock will tend to be more of a beige caramel color, but it will still have that rich melanoid and sweetness to it. So let's go ahead and open this up very quickly and get it into the glass. Hopefully you can see that. I'm not pouring it very well, but quite frothy. Massive head retention. But you can see it's got kind of a nice gold caramel color to it. I can already smell the sugars. And this is kind of a My Bock hybrid. Normally, My Bocks employ lager yeast, which kind of gives the kind of a smooth finish to the beer. But Dead Guy has always used their version of their ale yeast. It's called a Pac-Man yeast, and it's probably going to produce some more complex, fruity characters in the beer. I can already smell it kind of in the nose. You get a little bit of fruitiness, but also getting a lot of that malty, caramel, bready type of sweetness. Flavors follow suit. Again, more hop forward. This is definitely an American version of a My Bock, and that it's got definitely more of a hop kick to it, and also it's got kind of a long, somewhat a little fruity in the finish. And again, that's exemplary of an ale yeast. Now we're going to dial it up here a notch and shove a poker that I've been heating into the beer. And you can see that CO2 hates heat. So it's already driven out a lot of the CO2. Oh yeah, but already I'm getting like a roasted marshmallow aromatics. It's completely changed the aromatics in the beer. Well, that smells great. It smells like a campfire in a good way. Cheers. It's a little tough getting through the foam. But yeah, boy, it's definitely getting some more roast character out of it, but also it has increased the sweetness quite a bit. I definitely caramelized some of the sugars, and kind of feel like I'm eating a nice toasted marshmallow. This is quite tasty. Yeah, and the beer itself, it's warmed up some, but it's not hot. I'd say it's kind of tepid, and the foam is nice, still nice and cool. And actually, I kind of like the texture of the beer now too, because with all that CO2 being driven off because of the heat, This tastes more like a pub ale. It's got a really velvety, smooth mouthfeel because the CO2 has been expelled from the liquid. So my only knock against this is because this is again American style and it's a little bit more hoppy than your standard Maibach. The hop bite at the end gets a little bit more harsh. I think if you went with a true Bock beer or Maibach or something that was truly more malt forward and had more of the German noble hops than the American hops like this has, I think you get an even smoother, creamier, sweeter, caramely mouthfeel in the finish. But I'm not complaining. This is actually really fantastic in its own way, and it actually changed the complexity of the beer. So if you get a chance, try it out. Be safe. You know, you are involving both alcohol and heat, so please do it responsibly. And hope you learned something. I certainly did. Prost.